juvenile abuse neglect.
Patrick McCarthy, State's Attorney's Office.
Eric
Kristen.
Majewski. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Hi, Eric.
Eric Majewski, St. Charles Police, representing Kane County Chiefs of Police Association.
I'm Kristen Lorsdorfer with North Aurora Police, representing the Juvenile Officer Association for Kane County.
And I think we did have Mike Doyen on here. Did we lose him?
No, can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
I'm still here. Okay.
Okay. I think that's everybody. So we can start. Everyone received a copy of the August minutes in the packet from Julia. I can give everybody a chance to take a look at that. Are there any corrections or comments to the minutes? Okay. Then the minutes will be approved as distributed. And we can move on to the chairman's report. As to financial updates, the total expenditures for August were $2,516.48. The funding was toward personnel, which leaves us with a balance of $47,483.52 remaining for this fiscal year. There was a resolution submitted to the county board for the JJC contract to be signed, and that process has started. After the county board meeting this week, the process was begun to get the signatures needed for that. The final item of the chairman's report, in our last meeting in August, there was a vote taken to allow Julia to share information to the JJC network in regards to juvenile justice jeopardy. That vote we took even though it was not included on the agenda. Julia brought this to my attention, and I did some research on this, and I think according to the Open Meetings Act, and anybody can jump in if you know something different, but I don't think that we could have taken that vote without it being on the agenda. So my proposal is to do an email vote in between now and our next meeting, and then make that of record at our next meeting. Any concerns or other ideas on that?
Well, I thought we had also discussed that we really didn't need to take a vote because that was something that Julia could do as executive director without a vote, but we just kind of voted just to get the consensus. Because
Okay.
it really wasn't an official act by our council, I don't think, was it?
I do recall that part of it too, and maybe I'll take a better look at our bylaws, and maybe we don't need the email vote, but if we do, you may be getting the email vote between now and the next meeting. Okay, so we can move on to old business and updates on our priorities. The youth focus groups, Julie and Josh are continuing to work with U46 and Central 301 to start pinning down some dates to host the focus groups. They are working on a permission slip, requested an example from U46, but have not heard anything back from them. And once we get a draft completed, that will be submitted to the board for final review. Also, Pam Ely, who works at the youth home, reached out to Julia about using a written version to gather input from the youth within the juvenile justice system. Julie, do you want to talk about the de-escalation videos?
Sure. The Family Violence Coordinating Council presented our proposal that we discussed at the last JJC meeting at their meeting, their Child and Youth Safety Work Group meeting in August. And it sounds like there was interest from that group in terms of supporting it. It's just a matter of figuring out who's going to take on what role. I think as we acknowledged at the last meeting, it's a pretty hefty endeavor. And so we're just still in those initial planning stages. Robin Pelfrey, who is the coordinator for the Family Violence Coordinating Council, is kind of taking the lead on getting some, I guess, like cost as far as doing the videography equipment. I'm not sure what the right term is, but somebody to do the video. She's going to be looking into doing that. And then I'm going to talk with Anna Cerniak from the Children's Mental Health Grant just about what they might be interested in doing. I think where we're kind of at now is deciding on presenters. And so one of my questions to the board is if there's preference as to whether or not we use someone that's local or someone more that's known at a national level, or how we should determine who would be appropriate to do the presentation on this video. So they would be presenting about a skill, but there's obviously people at a local level that can do that, or there's people known nationally that can also do that.
I hear you. Part of me still really feels like there has to already be pre-existing videos out there that cover this. And so part of me wants to wait and see if the health department can come forward with something like that. And then that makes this question moot. And so that's kind of where I'm at. Obviously, I would prefer someone local because it would be more relatable. But I don't know. I don't know yet.
So I will say that Robin did share some of the national presenters, and I've been reviewing them. And to your point, Lisa, there are some existing resources that discuss some of this. I don't know if it's exactly what I had envisioned as far as just being really basic and being like targeted on that one scale of de-escalating. But I also think like the ones that I've come across so far are not, I wouldn't deem them, for lack of a better way of putting it, like culturally competent. So I think they're very like affluent based, I would say. I can keep looking on my end as well, but that is my concern about using it more of a national speaker, is that it may not be applicable to some of the populations that we're trying to target.
Okay, that's a good point.
I think that's a real good point. And obviously you want somebody that people are going to want to relate to and listen to. So I think that's real good observation, Julia.
Anything else on the videos? Okay, Julie, do you want to talk about the law enforcement training?
Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to add to it because we kind of tabled it based on input from our law enforcement partners at the last meeting. I guess I just wanted to ask if there are other ways that we might be able to support law enforcement officers in the interim here, where you guys are all kind of bombarded with, making up some of the training responsibilities because of COVID, but the world is still turning. And so I guess I just wonder if there's other opportunities, whether it's, I know at one time we had tossed around the idea of doing articles in the police newsletter that the state's attorney's office puts out. I don't know if that reaches a wide audience or if there's other supports that might be helpful. And if not, that's okay too.
I think using the legalese that you mentioned from the state's attorney's office would be a good thing. That is something that we do go over at the police department. I know there's a lot of different articles in there, and that's typically used for roll call training. So I think that would be a good avenue to explore using that. At least for St. Charles, that is something that we do go over when it does come out monthly. It is displayed in roll call.
Okay, great. So the racial and ethnic disparities, Julie's still working on a time to meet with court services and ROE on that. So we're still moving forward there. And parent engagement, Julia has a meeting with the health department later this week. But Julia said that is a little slower moving. I don't know if you want to comment further on that, Julia.
I think just more so they've been pulled in the COVID direction of doing some of the contact sharing still. So some of those things have just been moving at a slower pace. So understandably.
And then if I can, so Julia, court services and the juvenile detention, we were all supposed to be part of that somehow. And I know everything is, people are asking me, where are we at with this project, or where's the health department at? And I know that everything's delayed. So if that meeting does happen, can you just convey, I think maybe we need like a group meeting when they're ready to go forward, because there's so many moving pieces and we're in so many different directions. We just need to get back on the same page whenever they're ready.
Sure.
Okay. Anything else on old business? Okay, we moving on to new business. The expungement packet updates. I am going to take a look at the statutes again. I think there may be some updates to the statutes that we need to incorporate into our packets. So I am working on that now and hope to have that completed very soon. Julia, you want to talk about ACEs?
Sure. So another thing that the health department did, that I don't know that would be a priority quite yet because of the COVID stuff, but the health department, Gale Board and Library, and I think it was all in collaboration with U46 last year, did a training of trainers on the ACEs interface training. I'm not super familiar with the training itself, but my understanding is that it goes over the ACEs study and the implications of the ACEs study and what that means for youth and families that we're coming into contact with. And so it would really be like I see it as an opportunity for trauma training within our community. So I wanted to just bring it to the board to see if that's of interest to host a session for it. They can do it online. I think, I can't remember, but I want to say there were recommendations as far as like doing it specifically with one organization so that they can continue to build, or maybe there's like a general version of the training and then they can go to specific organizations and build on that training of what it looks like within that organization as far as being trauma informed and aware of the ACEs and the impact. That's up for discussion.
Julie, when you that they could do a session for us, can you, I might be a little confused here. What would that session for us be?
So it would just be the training itself. I don't remember, and I can get more information if this is of interest, but I don't remember how long the training lasts, but it seems like there's some flexibility in delivering the information to whoever the targeted audience is. But we could do a training session, whether it's an hour or, a couple hours or whatever, with either the board or the entire council or, specific organizations that are on the council that would benefit from the information. It's a training model that's available in the community. We have trainers, individuals that have been trained similar to like restorative practices. That I don't know if we want to support by setting something up.
I like the ACEs or the concept of it. I think trauma informed is wonderful. It's good stuff. I wonder if we should do that or offer it to the full council, like at one of the quarterlies when everyone's together, as a Zoom training or whatever, and people can log on and watch.
Do you think and I don't know what the feasibility of this, are you thinking like in October or maybe more towards January? if we were to do a quarterly one.
I don't really have a feeling on that.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
Okay.
Do we have a program in mind for October 8th yet?
To present at the beginning of the meeting?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. I don't have anybody lined up.
If you could get it set up, would it fit in that time frame? I don't know.
I think it would be, usually we have, those are 5-minute presentations. And I think this would be longer than a 5-minute.
Could it almost serve as kind of like have them do like a teaser presentation where they just kind of explain the general outline, and then we can set up a follow-up date just to get that information out for some of our partners?
I like that idea. I think that, I mean, October really isn't that far away at this point. And if it is going to be longer, it'll be a longer meeting than we're generally used to, maybe to give everyone enough time to get it into their calendars. And to see also if that's something that they would actually be interested in.
So would it make sense if I were to get more information about what could be offered, see if someone would be willing to do the teaser for it in October, and then maybe come up with more of a concrete plan from that at that point, as far as once they do the teaser, then we bring them back for the January quarterly meeting and extend the time depending on what the time commitment is, or offer it at a later date that's separate from a meeting.
That sounds good.
Okay. While we are on, I don't know if there's any other thoughts. While we're on the topic of trauma, I did want to just bring up, and I don't know that the ACEs training would cover this, because I don't know how this goes. It goes together with the ACEs, but I don't know how well represented it is with the ACEs. But with all of these trainings that have been offered through this time, one of the concepts that I've learned more about is racial trauma. And I think it's just a different way of looking at a traumatic experience. And again, it may not be covered in what the ACEs study addressed. So I would be happy to share more resources about that, just for further consideration as we're getting to this topic of trauma.
Anything else on the ACEs? Julie, you want to talk about the individual meetings?
Sure. So as you guys know, I participate with the the Juvenile Justice Commission and ICOI on some technical assistance work, and we have a new executive director of the commission, and also a new, I guess I would call her a coordinator for ICOI, who provides the technical assistance to all of the councils that are funded through the commission. And one of the things that they're encouraging us to do is, work with our membership a little bit more closely to help with capacity building. And one of the things that they're going to be having us do is go through a training on relational meetings. And as an expectation following that training, the coordinators are being asked to set those up with the members on the councils. So I would be starting with the board of directors. And so as part of that, I will be reaching out to see if I can set up an individual 20 to 30-minute meeting with each of you. There'll be some quality time that we can spend together talking about, just what some of the on an individual level of what your priorities are as far as this work goes. And there may also be there will be individual meetings, and then there may also be a survey component to it as well. So I just wanted to let you guys know that that's one of the things that they're asking us as the coordinators to do, and that I'll be reaching out with further information about that. So be on the lookout.
Okay, and how about the JJC Book Club?
So this is an out-of-the-box idea. It actually, I had thought about it before, but then something came out from the Coalition for Juvenile Justice, I believe was the national resource that did it, where they, it's another alternative to doing a training itself, and may be more appealing to other, personalities, I guess. But basically they were encouraging people to read a book of some sort that relates to racial equity, or, you could do it on other topics like adolescent development, things that impact the work that we're doing, and then coming together to have a discussion about the book and maybe the implications of the materials that are included. There's a number of books that I already have a running list going of books that we may consider that relate to racial equity. And at one time, I believe we talked about Debbie Irving, who wrote the book White Privilege, I think is what it's called. No, Waking Up White. It's about white privilege, sorry. So I don't know if that would be of interest as a way to sort of just start some conversations about racial equity in our community, by discussing material that comes in the form of a book.
Would we do that on a quarterly basis with the whole council? Or do you think?
It could be done that way. It could be just a separate, adding another iron to our many irons that are already in the fire. I think it's up for discussion. It was just another, I was thinking of another way. I know that the racial equity discussion is a sensitive one. And so I was thinking of a way to approach it maybe more indirectly, but still be able to start those conversations, just acknowledging that we're all at different points on this, spectrum of understanding when it comes to that topic.
I like the idea. I think keeping it smaller, because again, it's such a tough subject. And I know if we keep it as a broader group, people aren't really gonna maybe be as honest. Is there a way, I know for teachers getting CPDUs, my office could look at it. Is there a way for like other lawyers, for CLEs to kind of, as professional development, to look at that angle through the book club?
The CLEs, that's an interesting for attorneys, because we do have to get CLEs in diversity. So that may be something that we can look into as well to get other attorneys involved.
Yeah, so I could see that could be an interesting collaboration, even with juvenile attorneys, with some educators. I'm thinking alternative school staff, where that, we're all working with the same population. That could be some very interesting conversations. And, those are usually two groups that mesh well together because we interact with each other a lot. So
I would imagine that, I know I've come across a couple service providers in our community that have been able to offer CEUs as well for like clinician level. I don't know if they would be, if you'd want them as part of that conversation, but CEUs are always hard to come by too.
Yeah. So that might be just that hook to get somebody, especially if licenses, you need to catch up on some PD credits. This could be an easy hook to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if we want to continue this discussion, Julia, I can look into the CLE aspect of it and see if that's something that we can put that out for attorneys.
Okay. And then Josh.
Yeah, I can look into the CPDUs as well.
And then I can reach out to the contacts that have offered CEUs to see what the requirements are.
Anything else on the book club? Okay, and the final thing, Julia, the red data collection?
Just a heads up that the request is gonna be coming soon from the commission to do our annual data collection. I think court services really is the one that needs the heads up, right? Because they're the ones that take the lead in getting that information for us. But also just to the rest of the board that, once we've collected this data, then the commission historically has in the most recent years has provided us with some interpretations of the data, but it may be also something for the board to be looking at as well, so we can keep an eye on the trends that are happening in our community.
And I will say this, when I logged on today, I realized I didn't send you guys the data from our annual report, but I'll send that out to the group. And after our last disproportionate data drop, whatever, and some discussions with local police departments, like Aurora now has social workers and they're doing a lot more diversion and station adjustments. So that some of that data does look a little different this year. And so that's kind of exciting that some of those conversations have borne fruit.
Awesome. Okay. Are there any other updates anyone wants to share? Everyone is good?
Hey, I have one if no one else has anything, and it's really fresh, but I received an email actually this morning. Oh, I'm still sharing my screen. I'm just gonna go here. To my email. I received an email from Strategies for Youth, who also does the Juvenile Justice Jeopardy with Family Service Association, asking again about the Policing the Teen Brain training. They are claiming that they have funding to provide the training. That was originally slated for Elgin, but it's been expanded to encompass Kane County. They're really just asking if we are still interested in this. I can certainly forward the email that I received out to the board for, I guess, consideration. I don't know. I know obviously we just had a conversation briefly about police training being, officers being tapped right now with all the other training requirements. So I don't know if there are any additional thoughts.
Julie, do you want to go ahead and send out the information that you received?
Sure.
Okay. Any other updates from anyone? Okay, well, then it looks like we can adjourn the meeting at 12:31.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.